All right, we're back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing very, very well, man. Summer's almost here. We're almost 5 months into the year. I'm so glad that 2025 is going quickly because it's going to be the last hard year for a lot of people. But I'm starting to get excited for what's to come. So let's get into it.
I want to just pause though, because dude, you are looking lean and mean. You started the fitness journey the beginning of the year.
I
Where are
did.
you? Let's do an update. Let's do a Michael Zuber update.
Sure. So again, every year I want to do something hard. Thanks to Jessley Itzler, kind of planting this seed. Last year was a marathon. This year, as a 53-year-old male, I'm trying to go from 34.8% body fat, which is frankly obese, to something sub 10%. Right? I want to go single digits. I've never been there in my adult life. I don't think I've ever been close to that, and I know it's hard. Don't even know if it's possible, frankly. But I do what I do, and I'm getting after it. And I'm doing more than most people would. And as of this morning, so this is brand new information, according to the Hume Health System, which is a scale that you kind of hold on to, and it tells you your body fat, skeleton. It's basically 98% accurate. I will get a DEXA scan because that's where it all started. But, I only want to get a DEXA scan once or twice a year. It said I'm at 14.4% body fat. It says I've gained roughly 7 pounds. No, I'm sorry. I gained 7 pounds of muscle and lost 16 pounds of fat since this journey started. And I haven't really done anything crazy. I walk a lot more. They talk about 10,000 steps. I think I'm off. The last week or so, I'm averaging 25,000 steps. I walk 10,000 steps before 7:30 a.m., for example. I get up early, so that's what I do. I watch what I eat. I track what I eat. I lift heavy 3 times a week at least, sometimes 4. And I'm having a lot of fun. And I can definitely see it in the mirror. I did take pictures. When I was 8% body fat. It was disgusting. I just felt ugly. And, it's a different picture now. So it's really weird because I dropped 20 pounds really fast from 220 to 200 roughly. And then I stuck at 200 I'm roughly like I was 197 this morning, but for about a month, I didn't budge off 200. But what I was doing was still dropping fat and adding muscle. And, yeah, it's sub 15%, 5 months in, there's a fighting chance I get sub 10, but we'll see. So it's been a lot of fun. I feel better. I have more energy. I look better. I'm not this fat slob. So yeah, it's been fun so far. Not easy, but fun.
Very inspiring, man. Very, very inspiring. Let's get into the financial news. Dude, that's so inspiring. Very inspiring. So let's talk about peak uncertainty. What is it? What happened?
Yeah, so this is a call I made, I want to say 2 weeks ago now, and I think it might have been on the Friday financial wrap up where I kind of said, you know what, I think it might be behind us. And that was right after the UK deal, before the China deal, right? So we didn't know at least I didn't know the China deal was coming. The pause was coming. But I pontificated that I think we may have gotten to peak uncertainty. Now, I want to be clear. When people hear that, they suddenly think it's all rainbows and unicorns. I'm like, guys, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we're going through hell and it's no longer at its darkest moment. I've told you all year it was going to be bizarre, crazy, and chaotic until July 20th, and I still believe that. But I think we've seen peak uncertainty. And as uncertainty improves, you're going to see individuals and businesses and the like incrementally make moves. It's not going to be the masses, right? The masses won't come out until we're in the sunlight. But there will be some people like yourself, like myself, like others that go, you know what? I got my sea legs under me. I can see where the puck is going, and I'm going to go try to get mine. And I think that's going on right now. And I wasn't sure until this week. So I talked to about 30 or 35 agents, brokers and mortgage brokers across the country this week because I just wanted to know. And almost all of them, not 100%, but probably 80% of them said, you know what? I've seen an uptick in demand in the last 7 days. And I'm like,
Yep.
bingo, bingo. We're starting to see some people come off the sidelines. And it's the people that can tolerate the risk and, oh, by the way, right, disrespectful offers and do all this stuff that we talk about. They're going to get deals of the lifetime. And it is my hope that people that follow this channel and follow the ORAT mantra of do the work, focus, daily discipline, I hope we're the ones that are getting deals of the lifetime, deals of the decade, getting seller financing, doing 50-40-10s, because most people are chicken shit because they're going to wait till the sun lights out, and it's too late. The opportunity's gone then. So I feel pretty good about making that call that peak uncertainty is behind us. And, every day it feels like it gets a little brighter. But again, we're still in the dark. The sunlight is still, I don't know, 6 weeks away. But every day seems like just a little bit better to me.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. We've definitely seen a little shift here, and I'm local markets in the East Bay here in the Bay Area. Something we'll continue to watch. Let's talk about CPI, PPI. What is it, and what happened this week?
Yeah, so we get 3 inflation readings each and every month. CPI and PPI come out first. PCE comes out a couple weeks later. But CPI, headline was the lowest in like 4 years. It came in at 2.3, slightly better than 2.4. Core came in flat at 2.8. Basically, inflation is in a good spot. I do want to highlight something I've been highlighting all year because it's just math. The next 3 months are a huge risk. And I think, frankly, it's very easy for headline inflation to go from 2.3 to 2.6 or 2.7, which is what the Fed is afraid of. Right? If we start showing inflation increasing again, just because it's math, but that will hit the media and then that will hit the masses, and inflation expectation could get unanchored. That's what the Fed is concerned about. So this was kind of the last layup, and the next 3 months are pretty nasty given the base effect. And just be careful. It could get away from us here.
Jerome Powell was right.
Yeah, dude, the next 3 months are just not like the wind is in our face the next 3 months, given the base effect, right? The base effect is essentially zero, with one of them being negative. So even if you have just a 0.2 month on month, inflation's going higher. And heaven forbid we get a +3 or +4. I'm like, whoa, it could be bad.
So when everybody was critical of the Fed saying, oh, like they should have, been preemptive and that, I mean, just in the
they
end,
know what's coming. No, that's just math. I mean, it's really easy to see when you look at the charts. It's just math. They've known that these 3 months are coming all year. It was always the riskiest part of the year. You add on top of that tariffs and uncertainty and expectations. The data has a chance to get away from them. And then PPI was better than, kind of better than expected. But all of that goes out the window in the next 3 months.
Interesting. Well, something that we will continue to tune in, something for sure on this show we'll keep an eye on. Let's talk about retail sales. What happened with retail sales? What's going on with the consumer?
Yeah, retail sales, again, I think it's a dirty number. Last month was up 1.7, this month up 0.1. If you go ex autos, it was up slightly because, again, transportation was a big part of people buying ahead. I think the number is still dirty because you had a lot of people buying in early April, pre-enforcement, right? Liberation Day was the 2nd, but enforcement with the 9th. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in May with retail sales. I think it's pretty clear, when you look at restaurants and you look at other things, you look at travel, I think it's pretty clear that the average consumer pulled back on some discretionary spending. But I still think we have a dirty number because of that first week of April where people were buying ahead of tariff impact. Again, you force consumers to make a choice, pay now, pay later. And if you can, I think a lot of folks bought early. So I think the number was dirty.
Riding dirty.
That's right. Exactly.
Riding dirt. Flow Rider. Right.
Yes. I remember.
That's a great song. 90-day China pause. Talk about it. What's your take on it? Big negotiations, a lot going on this week. 90-day China pause. What is it?
So again, this was part of the peak uncertainty going away that came after my call that it's here. It basically has a 90-day reprieve. Not to zero, right? We go from 145 to 30. They go from 125 to 10, but it's enough of a adjustment where again, I think April or May is going to be dirty. Why? Right? We're already seeing. I read an article this morning that shipments or bookings between China and the US are up 300%. We are hearing Chinese manufacturers say they don't have inventory. They're running double shifts now because they can't buy ahead. So what is happening? Well, you have consumers, and in this case, small businesses that are basically saying, oh my God, we were effed. Now we have some daylight. So I'm going to double and probably triple order. We're doing the same nonsense that we did during the pandemic, where people thought the supply chains were wrecked. So they didn't just order once, they ordered twice, they ordered 3 times because they didn't know what they were going to get. So you have a lot of people double or triple ordering ahead of this 90-day pause. So it's going to make all the data look bad. And again, right, guys, if you remember Q1 GDP came in at negative 0.3. Why did it come in at negative 0.3? Because imports are a subtraction, right? I think imports, if I remember, were up 40%. You want to see some nonsense in Q2,
yeah,
right? Imports are going to be up like, I don't know, 50, 60, 80%. And it's going to make Q2 look artificially bad on the surface because, again, imports are subtraction from GDP. So I think we're just, anytime you have government, like external intervention in the system, you force unnatural or non-normal behavior, and we're doing it again.
Yeah.
And it's just going to make the economic data look stupid and wonky. And if you don't really pay attention to the chess moves, you're going to be like, how did that happen? I'm like, hey, you basically told everybody we have an embargo with China. Then you lifted the embargo and you're shocked that people bought 2 or 3x. I mean, that's a normal thing to do, right? You're supposed to do that when you go from embargo to non-embargo with the threat of embargo coming back. So it's just going to be so messy.
It's interesting. So I mentioned to you before, mostly off camera, I have family that works out at the Oakland port. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we're all together for Mother's Day. And I'm like, hey, how were the last couple of weeks? And he's like, oh, my God, it's a ghost town out there.
Yeah.
Like the ships, no ships. And then now all of a sudden, boom, we're going to see this spike. So going back to one of the original opening thoughts that you had is that peak uncertainty doesn't mean that there's no uncertainty. We're still in a weird,
way
time.
Yeah, that's what I want people to realize. Some people hear I say peak uncertainty is behind us and they think we're already standing in the sunlight. That's not what I said. Yeah. I just said it's not pitch black. It's still black. It's just not as black. There's still lots of uncertainty out there. But again, as uncertainty gets a little bit better every day, there we go. And then the last thing I really feel good about, and I'm already starting to see it from the Trump administration, they want to get these tariffs behind us because they know that July 20th is the time the script has to change. July 20th, 6 months in office. He has to become extremely positive after July 20th because he has midterms, like a year and a half later. So, and he can't lose the House and the Senate. If he does, he's a lame duck. He doesn't want that. So you will see, in my estimation, no more nonsense on tariffs post July 20th. It will be all positive, like tax deductions and regulations and all this stuff, deregulation. So, peak uncertainty it's getting better.
Very, it's interesting, even the way that you're looking out to July and then looking out a year and a half and understanding, okay, this is the way the chessboard moves. That's also why the administration came in so hard and so heavy from day one. That's why we've had the whole kind of economic world turned upside down, is they were very strategic in this. I'm going to continue with the notes. This is fascinating. Thank God we got you, Michael. Let's keep going. Let's talk about home builder confidence. What did you see this week?
Well, as expected, it took a tank to the lowest level since the pandemic started. And I want you just to think about that for a minute. We shut down our economy and builders come in with a confidence score of 34. Last month, we were at 40, which isn't great, but it's not 34. Well, this month, 34. Right? So home builders are getting it on both ends. They're not sure about their supplies. They're not sure about their labor. They have a sketchy buyer who's all freaked out because of uncertainty. And yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine trying to be a home builder in this environment. But again, with peak uncertainty getting behind us, 34, maybe it gets slightly worse next month, but it gets better from here.
It gets better from here. Question for you on talking about supply chain and talking about builders and, of course, materials costs, all of that. Was the disruption over the last 6-8 weeks enough to really create a disruption in the supply chain for building materials?
No, it was likely getting close to becoming a problem. It was probably weeks away from slowing building, but builders going into this were already slow, right? They had already realized that buyer demand and traffic was down. So they had already ratcheted back building and crews and all of that. So no, I don't think it was, certainly not in mass, maybe on a, community by community basis, there was some disruption, but I do not think that bubbled anywhere. It was getting close, but nah.
Not enough. Okay, good. That's great. Love it. Love the direction we're going. So let's talk about steadily. But before we do, let me throw the big headline. The big headline in California this week was State Farm insurance. They're going to increase 18%. Oh my God. Again, California is just a really, really tough place to do business, a horrible place for homeowners. You have a piece of news I thought was really interesting, especially for the One Rental at a Time audience.
Yeah.
Tell them who Steadily is and tell them about their products.
Yeah, so Steadily Insurance is somebody I've had on the channel several times. I've spoken with the CEO many times. They're landlord insurance only. They're focused on landlord, not homeowners. So they're not distracted by being many things to many people. And I've used them, and I've used them again. So I just went to them for a fourplex that I own because, again, rates were going up. And I sent them an apples to apples comparison, which they came back and beat by several $100s. But what I really loved about Steadily, unlike a lot of these other insurance carriers, is they allowed me as a landlord to have more deductible options, right? A lot of these insurance companies are, hey, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000, no real difference in price. Steady's like, forget that, right? If you want to kind of quote unquote self-insure for a higher number, by all means. So head to head, again, they saved me $300, just over 300. I think it was 312, which would probably be enough to go to them. But when they allowed me to have these other deductible options, they saved me over $1,000. So, they got another policy of mine, and I keep sending them more and more as my policies come up. And, there's a chance they own a majority of our stuff. There's a couple of properties we own that are too big for them. But there's a good chance they own all the small stuff, inside of a year. And again, as my audience has told me, they don't cover the entire country, right? They just raised, I think it was $30 million. The CEO says that allows them to cover hopefully 80% of the country. So I'm not saying they are all things to all people, by no means, but they're good enough to give a shot, right? If you get a better policy because you have your house and car in one rental with Farmers, by all means, stay with Farmers. But at least you should know. So again, now, because they've helped me so much, they're now a sponsor of the daily financial news. There's a link that you could click on that shows you came from One Rental, and they'll take care of you. But yeah, they, saved me another $1,000, which goes right to the bottom line.
That is great news. And I'll tell you, in this tough insurance, so many people I know, especially in California, we deal with fair plan, which is interesting. Unfair, right? It should, yeah. So landlords, Steadily, check it out, do your research, consider them. I love that. So let's talk about consumer sentiment. How do you see the world moving for consumers?
Yeah, consumer sentiment's a big deal. It was coming out right when we started talking, so I wanted to kind of look that up. But basically, consumer sentiment has been deteriorating quickly, and I thought this would be one of the worst reports. So let me just see if I was right. It just came out. So let's see. I'm looking on my phone right now. Oh, look at that. I was right. I thought this month would be a record low. It's just came in. Sentiment falls to the second lowest level on record. Only June 2022 was lower. So what does this mean? Again, you got to remember when these reports are taken. This report was taken during peak uncertainty. This wasn't done after the UK deal. This wasn't done after the China 90-day pause. This was done at peak uncertainty. Why is this important? Because again, when you understand the pieces on the board, you can make calls like I just made. Now, if we fast forward 30 days and the next consumer sentiment report is after the UK deal, after the 90-day pause, we won't be at a record low. And it actually might be a record increase. And this is something that we could follow to see if I'm right that peak uncertainty is behind us. This number this morning that just came out proves to me that I was right about peak uncertainty. And we'll see what next month brings if I'm right that it's behind us. So this was the number. I told you last Sunday when I did the weekly wrap up that this was the most important number. And there you go. We got another thing right.
Once again, he nailed it. Are you wearing the Nailed It shirt? No, I guess you'll wear that this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Inflation. Get rich with inflation. Own lots of rentals.
That's right. Own assets, baby.
Own assets. I love it. Let's keep going. June gloom. Now, by the way, June gloom is a thing they call on the coast. I think Michael's redefining June gloom. What is June gloom?
I am. I just want people to realize that a lot of the metrics, like the one I just talked about, are going to be coming out over the next several weeks that are going to show metrics from peak uncertainty. And the headlines are going to go nuts and all of that. Again, folks, remember the data, the economic data that comes out is at a minimum 30 days old. Remember that. If we've gone past peak uncertainty, it's the next month that will be interesting. So I expect a lot of people to just be in a bad headspace and just commiserating and just doing what people do, just living in this toxic soup of stupidity. You should look up and go, how do I take advantage of June gloom, right? A lot of sellers, let's be very clear. The June real estate market, we're for a lot of the country, you're out of the spring selling season. And if you still have a home listed and you haven't had a showing in 3 weeks, you might be open to that disrespectful offer. You might be opening to carrying a second mortgage. So please use the June gloom to your advantage. Don't pay list price. Get seller credits, get repairs, get rate buy downs. Don't pay list price.
I love it. I just helped a homeowner go from a 2-story to a single-story, family friends. And it was the same, hey, we're not going to offer list. Let's offer here. We're ready for 2 or 3 negotiation moves if necessary. The perfect house. And it's like, boom, they got the deal. I love that. So let's keep going. Let's talk about school. Let's talk about one of our favorite friends, Mr. Adrian Hernandez. I got the good fortune. I got to hang out with Nicole and Eddie and Adrian in Mexico a couple weeks ago. What are you doing with school? I know.
So one of the things that I'm doing now in school is I go live 8 a.m. on Sundays. Every week I'm not traveling. It's just my way of giving back. People ask me questions, but I'm also inviting my friends, right? Our millionaires, our weekly millionaires. And this week, Adrian Hernandez graciously agreed to come and talk to us on Sunday at 8 a.m. And I wanted Adrian to come because of June gloom, because of uncertainty. I think a lot of folks get lost in the headlines and they don't realize the information they're consuming is hurting them. And as you know, Adrian is the guy I go to when I get in one of those wacky headspaces, and he always sets me right. So I figured no better way to help people understand, monitor, fix, repair than get Adrian in the group on Sunday. So Adrian, thank you very much. And if you're in school, get ready. He's going to bring the heat and hopefully help a lot of you. So, just looking to keep adding value in school.
I love it. Now, and I want to say, school folks, get yourself involved in school. It's $20 a month, 67 cents a day. It's pennies. And let me just explain. You'll easily go out today and buy coffee or lunch or something just frivolous and drop $18, $20, $25 like nothing. Invest in yourself. I got to say this, what you're doing, Michael, it's clear to me, and I hope it's clear to the audience. Michael is really investing, getting the guest, going live himself, where you can actually be in the room with Michael, asking questions to his special guests. Folks, get yourself involved with school. Michael, let's finish the call. Let's finish this Zoom strong. Let's finish this strong today. Let's talk about opportunity. Because things have changed, is there still opportunity, Michael?
Yeah, again, I think my calls from the year are standard, are staying pat. Buyer's market. in most of the country, the Northeast being still an exception. But again, the spring selling season is almost over. It's a dud. I think we're going to do sub 4 million transactions. But with every passing week, we're getting closer to 2026. And life's going to get better in 2026. 2025 is the last hard year. I think it will be the hardest year. And I'm excited about 2026. And, I'm seeing, more and more people write disrespectful offers, more and more people follow up, more and more people get seller financing. So I'm thrilled. You've just got to believe. And I think about what I do, because when you create content, you can either entertain, you can motivate, you can educate. And I often kind of go like, what am I doing? And I really hope, while I certainly hope there's some education, my big driver is I'm trying to motivate you to believe in yourself. I think there's a lack of belief. And if you just are willing to focus and have some daily discipline, you can accomplish many things. And I hope by showing up every day, I hope sharing the good and bad in my, 5 days a week we go live, and now 6 with you. I just want you to believe in yourself.
There it is, folks. Believing in yourself, finding the opportunity, one rental at a time, the deal of a decade, maybe the deal of a lifetime. It's out there waiting for you. So, Michael, thank you. What a great show today. Thank you for all that you share, all the work. Have a great weekend. Thank you, my friend.
You got it, buddy. Take care. See you guys. What do I talk next? 7:30 a.m. Sunday for the daily financial news. Later.
See you in school.
Yeah, that's right. See you in school.